All right, then. So when you are in work mode, how do you prepare for a big deal before a big deal?
I'm very big on room association kind of thing, okay? Now, for people that don't understand what that means, like, for example, when I get into bed, I'm going to sleep, you know? I'm not watching TV in bed, you know? I'm not doing things in bed that don't, you know, relate to what I want to be doing in that activity, okay? If I'm going to read my book, I'm going to go and sit in that chair that I read my book in, you know? Now, the reason that that works is because your brain and your body becomes associated with being in that position and putting yourself in that mode, okay?
Yeah.
So when I sit in my desk to work, instantaneously I swap into, you know, the version of me that sells, that conversates, that speaks with people. Yeah. So in terms of preparation, everybody's very different, okay? And I know a lot of people in the industry that have got very rigid routines before they get on a call. Me personally, I can be out of the house. I can be doing something completely different. I could have just come back from a run 5 minutes before a call, hop in the shower. As soon as I sit down in that chair, as soon as I sit down, I'm activated. You know, I know I'm ready, I'm locked in.
So how long have you been doing high ticket sales specifically?
April 2025, so I landed this role that I'm on now.
Okay, so almost a year now.
Almost a year.
All right then. If someone, would you say you're still nervous or is it second nature now?
I'm never nervous now. It is second nature.
Second nature.
Because back to what I was talking about earlier, when it comes to confidence, it comes from comfortability and familiarity. Yeah. I am so comfortable on those calls now, you know, and even like the early things, for example, when I was first on these calls selling, you know, I'm then pitching. And I'm pitching, okay, so it's either £5,000, it's £8,000, okay. That used to make me nervous because, you know, I'm telling someone that this is what they've got to pay. Yeah. And that's quite a nerve-wracking thing, telling someone, you know, after everything we spoke about, you said you're serious about this, you got to put 8 bags down, you know. That's quite a nerve-wracking thing, you know. And before, like, I feel like I'd maybe try and talk a bit too much or because there'd be silence or stuff like that, right, okay? Yes. Right now, like, I'm in a position where I'm so comfortable and confident in that situation. One, because I know that what we're selling is worth the price that the people are paying, first of all, right? But also because I'm comfortable in that situation. I can sit there silently on camera. There's times where I'll be on these calls and I'll drop the price and then I'll sit there and the other person won't say anything, but I'm not going to say anything either. And, you know, that silence is power, you know? If I speak and feel that silence, the power's gone from me, you know? Yeah. And that's something that takes a lot of time to become comfortable and confident in. But, you know, I very much feel like I'm in my element on these calls. Yeah. You know, I know when I'm on that call and I'm in that position, like, I thrive. So I get a lot of enjoyment as well as comfortability and confidence in that situation. Yeah, you said earlier on, let's pick up on something that you said. Have you ever talked your way out of a call? Talked my way out of it, yes, because you said you literally 2 minutes ago you mentioned the fact that you can over talk or speak more than you need to. Yes. Have you ever talked your way out of a call? Yeah, right. Now, a very common thing, going back to, you know, what I spoke about earlier, my genuine belief of what a salesman is to help someone cross a bridge they're not comfortable crossing on their own. Yes. Now, when I first started on these high ticket calls, people would give me these objections where, like, oh, okay, can we just come back and talk about this tomorrow? You know, this kind of thing. And early on, I'd let people do this because, you know, I wasn't necessarily aware of how things were. And I very much, you know, talked, you know, for example, I've said to someone, yeah, no, that's fine. You know, you don't have to make the decision now, this kind of thing, and allowed them off the hook, so to speak. So 100% yes, I would agree to that. But I'm also very good at evaluating my own behavior. Yeah. I'll watch my own calls back, you know, I'll evaluate my own behavior because, quite frankly, you know, when you're in the moment and you're doing things, that's not the fastest way to learn. For example, I love playing chess, right? Yeah. But I'm also very aware that I don't necessarily get much better at playing chess by playing chess. I get better when I watch my games back, you know, and I evaluate it. Yes. And that's something that I've understood for a long time, right? So, you know, obviously early on, I'm evaluating my calls, I'm looking, I'm thinking, well, why aren't these deals closing? Because I've just spent half an hour talking to this guy and he's telling me how ready he is to make this change. And then he's telling me he wants to come back and talk to me tomorrow, and day comes tomorrow and he isn't answering the phone, right? So let's go back to me talking about people, you know, me helping them cross a bridge they're not comfortable when they're crossing. When it comes to dropping 5 or 8 bags, people aren't comfortable, you know, they're not,
of course,
you know? And so now they're in that position, you know, they're in that position where it's like, okay, I've just spoken about how I want to make these changes. I'm not happy with X, Y, Z. I want X, Y, Z. I now know that what I've spoken about, what he's shown me and what I've looked at is actually the vehicle to get me from here to here.
Yeah.
And now what I need to do is pay this money. But what they're going to feel is tension. They're going to feel nervousness. They're going to feel anxious because they're going to be spending £8,000 sending it on a call. Then, you know, they've got all of the things, you know, is this a scam? You know, they're feeling nervous about these kind of things as well, right? This is where, as a salesman, your job matters more than ever, okay? Because to pitch someone the product, you know, quite frankly, you could be an order taker to do that. AI can pitch a product, okay?
Yes.
But what they really need now is confidence, and they need to have someone to help them cross that bridge, which is where, this is what makes a closer, because this is where the deals get closed, okay? The objection handling, you know, really making people understand the importance of actually taking action. Because, for example, if someone was to say to me at first, yeah, is it all right if we just, you know, we come back to this in like a couple of days, right? Early on in my journey, I'd have been like, yeah, that's not a problem. No issues at all, okay? But let's actually look at what's happening there, right? They're just removing themselves from that situation that they don't want to be in, because right now they're feeling pressure, they're feeling anxious, and human nature, the initial instinct is to get away from that as quickly as possible, okay? And that's what they're doing. They're trying to get away from it, okay? But if you do that, nothing changes. And we've just spent 40 minutes talking about how you want to change your life, right? Now you've got that situation where it's time to put your money where your mouth is and actually make that change. And you obviously are feeling all of these emotions. Obviously the instinct is telling you to get away.
Yes.
So now I'd handle it differently. I'd be like, okay, well, why do you want to come back and revisit this in a couple of days? And it's like, well, you know, I just don't want to make a rash decision, this kind of thing, you know. And so, well, everything that you need to make this decision, we've been through. I've sent you information to go through before the call. On this call, we've been through absolutely everything. I've shown you everything. While I've been going through things, you've been, you know, confirming with me, that works, that's what I'm looking for, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Why does it make sense for you to go away and then come back later?
Yes.
I'm your source of information. You've been through everything. Going away is not going to give you anything that's going to aid your decision in a positive way. You know, all that's going to happen if you go away is you're going to procrastinate, and quite frankly, you're going to give yourself a reason not to do this.
Yes.
That's what humans do. We think our way out.
Overthink things, yes.
100%. And so, you know, then it's a case of, what is it really that you want to go away and think about? You know, because I'm here to help you.
Yes.
So let's talk about it. And then sometimes they're going to bring something that's actually legitimate to the table, where it's like, okay, oh, well, you know, I don't really know if I can afford that. So now it's a conversation about your finances. And you know what, I'll be completely honest with people. I'm here to help you. So let's talk about your finances. What's there? What have you got there? Where can you get money from? How serious is this for you? Because if this isn't something you're that serious about, okay, don't deplete your finances and do it, because it's obviously not something you're that bothered about. But if you're being really genuine and you've been so serious with me about how you want to change your life and do X, Y, and Z, then quite frankly, this is a serious thing that you should be making changes for to make happen. So let's evaluate your finances and let's make things happen. And I will sit in that pocket where I'm talking with people and I'm objective handling them for 15, 20 minutes before they close sometimes, right? And that's the difference between a closer that will make big money in this industry and someone that will make okay money.
Yes.
Because there's always going to be an amount of people that come through that get to the end and they just buy. That's always going to happen because the product sells itself. It's a good product. But if you want to make as much money as you can in this industry, that is where the money is made. Because quite frankly, people aren't comfortable making these decisions, and your job is to make it so that they do cross that bridge, so to speak.
Yeah, so you've used the word objection quite a lot. Is that a salesperson's terminology? Why don't you use rejection instead of objection?
Because a rejection is turning away.
Okay.
An objection is something that's in the way of them getting to the next thing.
Okay.
So, for example, someone might say to me, I just want to speak to the wife before making this decision. And it's like, okay, so that's an objection.
That's an objection.
All right.
Okay.
Well, do you trust your wife to make your financial decisions? Who's the person that makes financial decisions in your relationship? Who's responsible for the finances? And typically, the bloke, well, I am. Okay. Or do you take your wife and speak to your wife about other financial decisions if you're the person that makes these decisions? No. So why are you going to do it now?
Yeah.
And often these are smoke screens. People will say things that aren't necessarily what they truly mean. And it's about breaking it down to get to what they truly mean. Because honestly, in sales, you're not going to close deals and people aren't going to change until they're telling the truth and you're having real conversations.
Yeah.
So the art is really just having the confidence to confront people and be real with people and call people out on their bullshit, quite frankly.
Okay. A lot of people say high ticket sales is overhyped.